Good morning. You're on Ottawa Designers. We're here with Donna Henhoeffer. I hope that's how we say it.
Yeah,
How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, and you pronounced it perfectly, so thank you.
Excellent. We're here actually to discuss creating a better relationship with our bodies. So, could you give me a little bit of a history on you?
Oh, 100%. So, why I do what I do and how I came about all of this is because I didn't have a good relationship with my body. Not so much from the looking at myself as much as this internal flux that was going on. And I had a chronic illness. So I had endometriosis. So anyone that's experiencing deep pelvic pain or anything to do with reproductive health, I was very much challenged by that for years. And at one point in my life, I got a really big push from the universe, as I like to say, or my own intuition that just said, become whole. And I didn't know what it meant as much as, we get these inner pokings all the time. And, you know, everything sort of imploded and exploded at the same time. So it had me going through a divorce, through really looking at this, through moving. I had lived in Toronto for years, and then moved to Ottawa. So everything just came to a head. And and it really became, okay, what does become whole mean?
Yeah.
And that's really when I delved into the whole body, the whole system, and really discovered that what's happening on the outside, and that means pain or inflammations or all that other stuff, is really what's going on inside.
It's funny how that works as you'll get a message and then it'll be everything hits you all at once and it's almost forces you to do some sort of a big life change. I read one of your quotes and it said that you used to feed people and now you mentioned that you want to nourish the whole body, mind, soul, and spirit. Can you explain that?
Yeah. 100%. I used to be a chef for years. I was an event planner and a chef for 25 years, and it's not like I'm ever done it. Once you have it in your bones and it's an experience, you sort of live that. But so I did. And that was a big pressure. I mean, that whole industry has a very big pressure under it. And I would work. If I was in the kitchen at 4 in the morning, I had a team of 14 in the kitchen and 30 all together. And
Wow.
and it was all the time. And because it was event based, it was into the evening. So it was round the clock. And I used to do it. I loved doing it and I loved experiencing it. However, it really became, and that's where this big thing happened. It was like, hold on a second, I'm doing this for everyone else
Yeah.
and without having that time to nourish ourselves, to nurture ourselves. So that's where this big shift over really happened. So I was feeding bellies. I was, keep
It
going.
was probably delicious
Oh my
and
God,
you
I love it.
probably
And
loved
people,
it.
100%, people do love what I cook because I cook not only with my whole body, but I use all of I have a very intuitive sense working with food.
Yeah.
It's just that needed to end so I could deepen into what this really meant for me and how do I really, we hear the word serve the world and serve humanity, yes, but really honor my authenticity. And then how do I support in the best way? I think that I like to come from that. How do I love and support in the best way more than just serve?
Yeah.
Because until we're in that more of that wholeness and nourishment of ourself, we're not really coming out in a whole thread, right? So which takes
Absolutely.
time. It's not to stop what you're doing.
No.
It's just and everyone's different. Yeah.
And it's a stepping stone. That's the thing is you have the basis of the food and you have the basis of what people need and then you can evolve to that. Why is it so important to create a relationship, a better relationship with our bodies?
Well, the body is your compass.
Yeah.
First of all, the body is the compass. It's the one and only, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's what takes us through this life. And without experiencing, and I'm going to say experiencing all of it, meaning your own physicality, but the mental, what's going on the mindset, what's going on, you're an energy first, right? And we have this subtle body. So until we understand the wholeness, the fullness of what's going on, and slowing down enough
Yep.
to actually learn our body's language and feel what we feel and honor what we feel and emote and then use our mental faculties. We're simply pushing aspects of ourselves away. So
That's a big one. Slowing down.
without the
You
whole, yeah.
mentioned it, slowing down and listening to those little subtle signs. I did a podcast with a nutritionist, and she said, unfortunately, a lot of times she has people that come after there's been a problem as opposed to preventing that problem.
Mhm.
So, how can we do this? How can we get a better relationship with our bodies?
Well, first thing is being willing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Second thing is, and one thing that I do and I do every day is and actually teach people is first flush the stress out of our bodies, right? We are building stress all the time, and there's different ways to do that. But when you flush the stress, set up your own energy field. That's how I do it. Then you start to align what's yours because we're broadcasting all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then really hone in and take you need to practice. You need to carve out time and sit quietly and
Absolutely.
ask the body a question. Ask the intuition. And it is challenging for people that have come so offline with themselves because we're in a world where it's like, I need to prove, I need to have enough money, I need to do this, that, the next thing. We're compromising us.
Yeah.
And that takes us out of integrity, authenticity, out of the wholeness. And I lived it. I get it. I 100% get it. And it's this finding how to bring yourself back online.
Yeah.
We're so I mean, I use different tools. I mean, I'm an intuitive now in many regards with clients and stuff, but I use different tools, and I came across this thing called human design and gene keys, and I work with it as a complement because for people that are here in the brain, we
Yeah.
need to get you to slow down. But the bigger thing with that design was to really explain there are 5 types of people,
Okay.
bodies that run and work in this world. And when we compromise how our energy is designed to support others and receive back in from others, we're doing a disservice to the whole, right?
So important, so
But
important to connect with others and to connect with oneself and realize that we're part of a whole.
yeah,
And, other people's energy does affect us, and what we put out does affect others.
yeah.
How do you listen to your body? How do you tell people how to start listening to their bodies?
Um, so the first thing I do is a really do just slow down and breathe. We need to breathe differently, breathing with the belly. We're breathing and I'm just going to tip my screen, but we're breathing up here, right? We're
Yep.
trying to run through the day, and then what's happening is it's in the head, and
Yep.
that's why all this pressure's happening. So when we breathe through the belly, we need to slow down and that and expel that because we're breathing all the time, but the
Yep.
breath is the piece that'll allow you to slow down. And it's I like to carve out a time when dim the lights. Yes, you can do it in the day, but really you want to soften all of your body. So if you find a dark room, you can use a candlelight, but really quiet, that then you start to then scan, even what am I feeling,
I-
what am I feeling,
Yep.
and
I
then make notes for yourself. We need to follow what's going on in our own body. Is it going on in the mind? Our mind isn't there to stop it. It's going to go, right? Eventually you'll step into how do you meditate? What is the right type of meditation for you? And it goes in stages. And I think the biggest part in all of it is that willingness and that practice. And I think we're so easy to do for others, right? Do for our work, do for the podcast, right? Whatever. I'm just going to use it as instance, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
do for my parents, do for my children. And it's like, hold on. If I don't slow down for me, I'll never hear the wisdom. I'll never use the wisdom because even if I get the wisdom, I don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
And because we're taking in other people's energy, and when we don't know who we are, and don't trust us. That's the thing. We don't trust us. We've lost a connection to our own hearts and our solar plexus and our bodies and all of this.
Yeah.
We're then trying to catch up with the world. And I need to be like them because the boss says so, or the parent says so, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's changing the whole paradigm around that.
It's true. And how does having a life coach or a mentor help you find that path and find that clarity?
Right. Well, I think I think the biggest thing, and that was one thing that I did struggle with. I'm like, oh, I can do this on my own, of course.
Yeah.
You can only seek for so long and dabble and do things, which is like, and we all do learn differently. All of those parts are part of us discovering. The having the mentor or the coach, whatever that is, they're going to be able to find those blind spots. We
Yeah.
call them blind spots in many ways. They're going to see the unconscious part of you that you don't see. They're going to help you coax and see yourself from a new perspective. When and even in that that choosing I'm going to use of a coach or someone, choosing it with your body, so that it's like, it does it feel good?
Yeah.
Are they going to honor me, right? And and even for coaches out there, we want to do it from the space of we are there to love, support, nurture, assist, guide others, but doing it from that, they're the ones that can take you through that process because they've been there in some form or fashion. And you need it. We need it. We're not designed to do life alone. That's what
Yeah.
separates us. That's what disconnects us,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Well, that's a perfect example. I mean, when babies are born, if they don't have that physical touch, they don't thrive, they don't grow, they don't this. And that's just prime example. If they're held and they're nurtured and they're loved, babies get better, they grow, they this, that. Why is it so important now more than ever to honor our emotions?
Oh, well, energy is the emotion. It's
Yeah.
energy in motion. And when we stop it, it's just blocking, 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 spots tightening, contracting. So when we're like, so when you see people who are like, this, or when you feel it in yourself, it's there's so much contraction and so much resistance
Yeah.
and things that are repressed.
Yeah.
And exactly the pressure. We feel like we've got the weight on the world. In some form you do. It's called gravity. However,
Yeah.
right? But we're energetic. We feel the our own individual energies and the collective.
Yeah.
So that energy needs to move, right? We need to stop looking at our emotions as good, bad, right, wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I was that person. It was like, oh my god, no. I'm like, I was so crushed in
I
my heart. I'm
can't
like, oh.
cry. I can't get mad. I can't outwardly express this. Ah!
Yeah, exactly. And what happens is we need to honor that it's all natural, right? And actually emotions are nature moving through us, right? If we're raging or whatever, anger, there's like a big fire that's going on inside of you that needs to get expelled,
Yeah.
right? And the emotions are our water. We need to emote, we need to cry, we need to get things out of us so we can flow naturally. And so the emotions are, we need not only emotional understanding, because a lot of people stop there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I understand the emotion. No, 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 that's a mental process. The body needs you to move through the emotion. Allow it to move through so you come out the other side, let's say, with a clearer perspective, and you get to then look at what was going on in my body. What am I holding on to? And is that mine, or am I holding on to other people's stuff, right?
Very
But
true.
the emotions are the body's way to feel through the world and experience the world.
Yeah.
The feelings and that sensations is how we get to really, because even when we're sitting here, we may not think that we're feeling an emotion, right? But when you tune in and tune in, I'm open and I'm clear and I'm on and I can feel the sensations that move through my body while I'm here, right?
Absolutely.
So that means you're grounded and you're able to experience what's moving through without it causing us to go offline, right?
Yeah.
And out of alignment, right? But we need to move from that understanding perspective, learn what we've learned from it, say like, okay, what was this about?
Yeah.
And then there's a closing loops that people haven't quite grasped here yet in many ways, which is we need to celebrate that we've learned this. We need to say, Sandria, thank you for bringing that piece to me
Yeah.
because I needed to learn that for me,
Yeah.
right? I needed to discover that in me. So
Absolutely.
when we get into that space, when what I like to call sort of this relentless
Right.
self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
We get to discover, and that takes time because it takes us, and this is part of the journey of honoring where everyone's at.
Yeah.
When our hearts aren't open and we don't coax our own hearts open, and you said about caressing, there's a being caressed as a baby, but there's also that lack. It changes when, as we move through our emotional development from 8 to 14. Well, if we didn't have an emotional expression, and then our mental development, which happens 14 to 21, if we don't have that and we've separated it, it's like, whoa, we adults. So, this is the best thing we can do. Adults come back in.
Yeah.
Come back
It's
and coax your own heart. How did you want to? Right? And then you learn different techniques and ways to move through that because there can be deep traumas in people,
yeah,
right? Deep experiences. And it's that honoring. And I'm going to say it's honoring while we're creating a new narrative.
it's
Those
true.
things happen
Absolutely.
together. Yeah.
Crying, having a good cry, or having, a big scream, or laughing, belly laugh, and all that, you always feel so much better afterwards. You might not in the moment think, oh my God, I'm panicking, blah, blah, blah. But if you learn how to tone that into growth and success, that's an incredibly big power to have.
Yeah.
What is healing the root?
Ah, okay. So well, you're healing the root causes of where these things came from. And you may be aware of them. So maybe let's use an example. I'll use an example that might help more so. So even for myself. So when I look at I don't know, moving here to Ottawa. Okay. I moved. I had a sister that lived here, right? And it became, okay, well, there was an expectation of what that might be for me. Okay. The more I realized, hold on a second, where do we attach ourselves, become codependent on other people, and something we both moved through. And then you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper to get to the root cause of, okay, hold on. Why did I come here? Why did I expect that from her
Yeah.
instead of anticipation, right? Where did I feel like I was inadequate or I wasn't able to do these things? Where do I feel abandonment? Because we have deep wells of humanity's wounds, I'll call
Yeah.
them that, but our own, right? We have to first look at our own life right here, right now, and what came up in our childhood or just recently. Where did we give our I'll use authority because it really is in a different way, but where did we give it away? Where did we expect it to come from someone else?
So
So
true.
you need to keep going to the root, to the root, to the root. And at the root core, we need to look at our lovability and our self-worth.
Absolutely.
And without those, we can't we
Rise.
well, we can't. We really can't grow into and really evolve who we're designed to be and who our essence is. And that just keeps blossoming. So the whole loving and the whole body is you got to love every single experience, every part of this body. We look at things like they're flaws and that we're flawed and that we don't look good enough or that this is crooked or this is that way. But then it's an internal thing because it's all an internal thing, right?
It
And
is.
it's like, hold on. And that is a willingness, an intention, and then that root will get you so that it's like, okay, I need to keep digging up. And then at some point, you're like, okay, you get to a point of what are really my stories? What are my ancestors? Because we need to honor that our ancestors were part of that. We learned it from our parents, we got it
Yeah.
from our grandparents. And um, there's much wisdom, there's much science now around how when we heal through our lineage, through our
True.
ancestors. And this is energetics, right? So the root is there, and we have core wounds. And this isn't to be the suffering, because That was me. I mean, that's how I'm designed too, but that's okay.
Woe is
And we
me. Yeah,
we go into this deep suffering for humanity, and that comes for many people from a religious upbringing, right? And maybe
that's
not,
true.
but it's definitely something, right?
Yeah,
And you have such a, oh my God, I need to suffer to be good enough, right? And it's so much that the root is, no, you are as beautiful as the next person, and loved as much as the next person, and as enough as the next person. And you used the word success earlier, and I want to just thread that in, which is my version of success is different than your version of success is different from the next
absolutely.
person's, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And flaws, as you mentioned, it's funny when we're younger, these flaws are so big. You think, oh my God, my belly this, or my hair that, or this scar this. And it's, if you talk to photographers or artists or people as they age, those flaws are the beautiful things that make us different. And those are the things, extra freckles, or a change in the texture of your skin, or your hair changing colors, or wrinkles coming. Those are almost the evolution of you, and they become so beautiful. It's too bad that we can't harness that. The flaws that we take as flaws internally are actually huge growth stepping stones, and they're not flaws. They're something that's attached to us that we can choose to hone and use for our betterment, or we can wallow in them and do cut repeat.
Yeah.
That's something you mentioned, is why is it so important not to live in repeat or comfort zone?
Well, that is what gets us sort of stuck in that, right? We keep looking at the problem, and our energy is going to go straight there. Whatever we put our attention on, it goes straight into that, right? So when we keep repeating that pattern, what's happening is we keep telling the mental part, the brain part of us, which is part of the body, that's who I am. That's who I am. And we create this as this identity. And it's changing that over to say, hold on a second. This isn't a flaw, like you said. However, that journey of it being a flaw is, and what
Ingrained.
brings you out the other side, because
Yeah.
that we need that to understand and learn and discover more of who we are. Now, the beauty I will say is, or what I see that humanity and is moving towards, and should you take the call, which is consciously parenting. That is either children that you have, and the consciously parenting is continually parenting you,
Yeah.
right? Because even if you don't have children, you become an environment. You are in environments with children around you, and it's learning. It's like, holy cow, they come in with such wisdom, and we see that now.
Yeah.
But our generations, not all, some. It's not like this is just brand new, right? But the energy's shifted. The if we weren't brought into the genius of who we are at a young age, we do. It's seen as a flaw instead of, oh my God, how do we use that as something great? Right.
Yeah.
And it's, excuse me, we need to repeat as much on the, oh my gosh, bad. We need to be like, hold on, wheel it back. What's the good? What's that new narrative that I was speaking about? Right. So that that's where I'm headed. And it's, eh, you never get there that fast. Right? Some things, yes, but that's because you actually didn't have a challenge with that,
Yeah.
right?
It's
The
true.
parts that we are challenged by is the thing we keep ignoring, right?
Absolutely.
There's
The
no person.
harder things you push away, and you say, "Oh, well, I could succeed at this one quickly. So let's push that one aside."
Yeah.
How do you help your clients? What is your process, and how you help clients achieve this harmony?
Right. So, first I would say we would balance and then we would harmonize, because so
Right?
many people are outside of living in balance. The first part is to know um, what is their intention, first of all.
Yeah.
What is their intention for where they want to go? What have they, and have them look at what's going on in the body. Are you even noticing what, not only the sensations and the feelings, are you noticing that? Are you noticing patterns where they come from? Right? Is it because of people? And then it's discovering, okay, what is just the next part step for you, right? A lot of people, um, they think they know what it is. And
It's not that.
people like myself, and there's many ways, but when we work with the subtle body, more so the subtle energies, we have a capacity to say, well, this is actually, if you worked on this, it's going to move those other things out of the way. It's you who keeps piling them on top of it. right? So it is starting to coax them into seeing a different perspective, understanding why they want this too.
Yeah.
Because
That's
until they want these for themselves,
yeah.
and also get them into that understanding, the relationship with themselves. Where are they at? Where are they at with the
What's
relationship
hindering
with
them? What's
themselves?
holding them back? What do they keep repeating? The same pain? Why do they think that the same path and the same way of reacting is going to create the same result? What modalities do you use for various people in order to do that?
I'm gonna answer that in a second because I
Oh,
just
yeah,
wanna hone a little bit more on the
absolutely.
yes, all of those pieces that you said about, the relationship, but it's also a lot of people come with, "Well, I want a better relationship with my boss or my
Yeah,
work or my partner or my family," and it's like, it's still you.
yeah,
It's still you. So that's the big thing because that is the big trick in all of it. We are hiding from ourselves in so many different ways. So in terms of modalities, I mean, energetically and as an intuitive, I have my own modality, right? Which
right.
is if somebody wants to do a body attunement, I can go into the field and I can speak to we all have guides. We just some don't know that we have them, some don't connect with them. Some are looking to connect with them.
So
Some
cool.
are disturbed by them, right? So there's all different capacities and humanity's opening up to that more.
Yeah,
So it's do they need a type of an attunement, right? Where I go into the body and find out, okay, take things out and then draw in energies and speak to your guides, find out what
amazing.
you need to know. That's a modality. That's we many people are starting to channel their own because it's so intrinsic into who they are. I work with the energy and the vibration and I come from this place of helping the client look at where did they lose their potential and the possibility, that sense. Because it always comes with a movement and songs and things that they know, it doesn't mean anything to me in the time. It's just it's the vibration that the body needs to get them back into themselves. So that's one thing. Then I was sharing earlier things like human design and gene keys. I've delved into it again after I healed because some of it's such a mental thing. But how do you contemplate? How do you ask new questions? Even besides the contemplating, how do you even ask new questions?
Yeah,
Because a lot of times we're using this to figure things out. And that's not what the brain is about, right? I mean, it's yes, it's there. We need logic. It's not that. It's just how are we asking questions and thinking that we're supposed to figure it all out, right?
sure.
So then different modalities. I mean, I I have a whole toolkit of things, right?
Okay.
So I really
Amazing.
look at where are we at, but it's helping, really helping them, the client, tap into where is their intuition at? How is it meditation that we need to go into more? A lot of it, the first part is to come into that um, contemplative and mindfulness, understanding the mind, understanding the body, right? What are they feeling?
Yeah,
What's going on with them? And a lot of what I do also is take you through the aspects of not only what the calendar. I'm going to use the calendar year. I've
yeah.
worked in a planetary shift back in Egypt in 2022. For
Oh,
anybody that knows Matthias de Stefano, I went with a bunch of people and we did this planetary network. And I have a connection that I go right into the earth because I speak with it and I move things around. But what happens is when in his teachings and when you move through it, the actual what the calendar, then the aspects of us are, and we live by those, and then we live by our body systems, biological systems,
yeah,
right? So reproductive health, well, that's a whole aspect of a
yeah,
whole pillar within the cosmos that's running all the time. Our endocrine system. So many people are offline on their endocrine, their immune system, their integumentary, the skin, right? The
yeah.
muscular system. And when we're only working on one, we're not whole. We're
Yeah.
not having all of those pieces. So I
I
love
see
to give
all of
that
them.
perspective to take people through that so they start to put people into the mix where they learned these things, right?
Yeah.
How they get to discover and really come into a more fluid aspect. And we're never
I think
done.
that's
So
amazing.
it's never done. It's just it's a beautiful journey once you go through enough upheaval
Yeah.
and suffering. right? And then you know what? That's the brilliance, right?
I
So,
think
yeah,
we
I like
would love to have you back on the show and kind of tune into different aspects of this because there are so many. And I don't want to, have the viewer on for so long. But
yeah.
I think that if we brought you back and we broke this down into different segments, it would be really
Mhm,
beneficial as well. How
mhm.
can people get a hold of you? Where can they reach you? Go ahead.
My name right there. Just
Perfect.
find my name, that's the easiest way. I'm doing, some refinement on things, but, yeah, no, you'll find on Facebook or on, my website or Instagram, it's all my name. It's just
Oh,
that's
that's
the easy
simple.
way. Yeah.
Donna Henhoeffer.
Henhoeffer,
So that's
yeah,
a very
yeah,
easy one to do.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
want to give a phone number or anything like that?
I can. It's 613-252-3151. So, yeah,
Excellent.
WhatsApp, Messenger, text, whatever works, or call. Just simply call. It's very old school, but I'm all about the call. So,
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for
well, thank
being on
you.
Ottawa Designers, and we will have you back to discuss various topics
Yeah,
and
wonderful.
break this down for people over the course of maybe a month or so and kind of let people process each one. Thank
Yeah,
you so much for
wonderful.
this morning and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, everyone. Take care.